basically the title of this is Creating Competitive Cages. Until we get this up, I just want to walk through some of the stuff that we do at Tech when it comes to our hitting competition. Coach Glasgow has been around for a long time, and he's developed a hitting competition that consists of 13 different comps, and we normally do those on the field. However, we give our athletes a little bit of time to practice that. And so what you're going to see today in the cage with the two machines is how we practice getting ready to perform those hitting competitions. In our hitting competitions, we normally always have two different pitches going at the same time. So in this particular setup, we're going to have a drop ball and a rise ball. And you can kind of see how we have it set up. We use the HitTrax a lot, and we have probably more HitTrax in our facility than most of you have combined. We have 18 different HitTrax that we use in our cages. And so with that, the travel legs that come with them, we're able to put on the back machine to raise it up a little bit. So instead of putting machines on boxes to get a bigger drop ball, we're able to just put the travel legs in the back, and it shoots perfectly over the regular hack in the front. So basically the setup we're going to be looking at here is a rise ball in the front and a drop ball in the back. Don was nice enough to give us one of their newer elite hacks that throws the different sequences and different pitches. We normally don't do that. We normally just have the standard elite hacks that are throwing one pitch at a time. But again, we can be as creative as we want to when we have the technology that we have. And that's kind of how I want to steer into the next segment of this, is the technology piece. With HitTrax in particular, they're able to give us so many different things that we can look at, break down, analyze. But at the end of the day, that player development stuff, that the real-time feedback that we get with our athletes is one thing, and it's great for us as coaches. It's not necessarily a great thing for the athlete. So when it comes to the athlete, we try to tap into a little bit of their competitiveness and see what makes them tick. And what we've found out, they want a winner and they want a loser. All right. So when we're doing cage stuff, they're always, when it comes to competition, they're not saying, hey, I got the highest X velo, or hey, I got this average, hey, I got this stat. They're saying, hey, did I beat you or did you beat me? So that's kind of how we tap in a little bit to their competitive mindsets. We create that winner and loser mentality in practice. And that's what I want to challenge all of you guys here today when it comes to all your hitting drills that you do and all the technology that you have. Don't just make it analytical based, because for us as coaches, we can get so wrapped into that at times. Like, I know for me, I can spend days breaking down numbers with coaches in the office, like, hey, this kid's been really improving on a drop ball because the numbers tell us this. Hey, this kid's really good off a changeup because the numbers tell us this. Not necessarily every player is going to take that feedback in a positive way like we do as coaches. So having a competitive aspect where it's not just numbers based, but there's actually a winner and a loser, we've kind of seen that it helps us motivate kids to get into the cage outside of their practice time. So Kara is a big time for us. We do a lot of stuff inside of our 20 hours when it comes to hitting. But again, the key to it, I've heard it 2 or 3 times in the convention already. If you're going to be a good hitter, you have to hit outside of that 20 hour. And this is a way that we found with HitTrax where we can get them to hit outside of their 20 hour because of the competitive fact, because of the nature of a winner and a loser. So having the goal not always be analytic driven is good for us. All right. So what we want to do is create a competition that's fun. All right. So fun is a very sensitive word in our topic because it's 2 different meanings for us. All right. We don't want to just go out and have fun and lollygag and do all that kind of stuff. So we really want to break down the definition of a fun competition. So the definition in our player's mind right now is, what is fun? All right. Fun is doing something that you enjoy doing, winning. Okay. Players' definition of fun is winning, doing something they enjoy doing. My definition and our coaching staff's definition of fun is doing something really hard, really well. All right, and that's where we want to try to get to the point where we marry the two. We try to create drills that are both competitive and fun, keeping that definition of doing something really hard, really well in mind. So when it goes back to our hitting competitions, our 13 hitting competitions, I'm going to break down a little bit of the scoring platform. So each competition, you get 80 swings to compete. So at the end of the day, you're going to have a score sheet. Your partner is going to score you. You get 80 swings, 80 attempts. Of that 80, we're looking for somewhere around 60 to 65% in a successful, in the success line. So what that comes down to when you're hitting in a cage, when you're hitting on the field, all right, it's not necessarily, hey, it's a base hit. What we do we break it down to hard contact, all right? And again, we do these competitions on the field, judged by your peers saying, hey, yes, that was hard contact, that was a great swing. But when it comes to practicing that and we get into a cage setting, we may not be able to judge very well what is a hard hit. Is that a rollover to the shortstop, or is that a really smoke shot through the 5-6 hole? So with HitTrax, it allows us to kind of break that down and take it a step further when it comes to using the data that we have to produce hard contact or to evaluate hard contact. So in the module, for people that are familiar with HitTrax, when you turn it on and go to the training base, that's one thing. It's going to give you all the numbers. It's going to show the ball flight on the field. It's going to show where you are having success and having failure. But there's also the training games in there. And that's where we've really tapped into the HitTrax piece, utilizing those training games to fit our program and to fit our style of offense. So it has a gaming tab. So in the gaming tab, they're going to be entertainment games, a home run challenge, hitting contests, this, that, and the other. If you go to the hitting contest stuff, you can kind of play around and see that stuff, but there's also a skill challenge in there. So the skill challenge allows you to really set specifics of what you're trying to do, what you're trying to work on in the cage. So those skill challenges in the HitTrax machine, you can break down between, hey, I want to stay between a certain exit velocity, where that may not equivalent or kind of tap into the player's logic and the player's mind of how they use HitTrax, but it kind of resonates with us as coaches, like, hey, if I stay between this certain launch angle, I'm going to have a better opportunity for success. All right. So that being said, we don't necessarily use the launch angle side, but we do use the exit velocity side. And how we do this, we set up a skill challenge competition that's based on 80% of the player that's hitting's max exit velocity. So we want to keep them, when they're hitting, especially off a machine that's throwing the same pitch over and over and over again, we want to try to keep them as consistent as possible in that exit velo range as we can. So with the system that's set up, we can go in there and design, say, hey, our hitting competition on the field is 80 swings. So we're going to kind of take that into a quadrant, and we're going to go 20 swings in the cage off the same competition that we're going to do on the field. And so we can match that with the exit velocity. So if they're under that 80% of their exit velocity, we're going to consider that non-hard contact. If you don't reach that exit velocity, it'll give you a failure across the screen. And so when it goes back to what I'm talking about, the definition of fun and winning and doing something really hard, really well, having that feedback of, hey, you didn't pass that, you failed that swing, or you successfully succeeded that swing, is really important when it comes to the other side of the feedback that this technology can give you. And us as coaches being able to set those parameters and say, hey, I want to do it this way, I want to do it that way, is going to be really important when it comes to this kids buying into what we're doing. It's not just, hey, it's a fun little game, we can go in there and waste some time on in the cage. It's something we can actually get into and have and create that winner and loser mentality. So Morgan, if you want to just kind of hop in and go, I'll let you show, Don will feed a little bit. So again, this is basically what our hitting competition number 4, I think, looks like, with a rise ball and a drop ball. So again, right across the screen, you can kind of see it says failed. She didn't get to that max velocity or success when she does. The beauty of this when it comes to our competition, and going back to how do we incorporate this into our actual practice session, all right? So we have, again, a process, a scoring sheet of how we do this. So at the end of her session, when she gets these 20 swings, it's going to give her a score. It's going to give her a grade. Like, hey, of these 20 swings, you were 13 of 20, which still gives us the same amount of number, same number system as we do in our grading scale. And how we do that is we just use the HitTrax to compare what we're doing on the field. So if we're having a player that's consistently at 60%, and she comes in off this cage and the HitTrax tells her, no, you're at 40%, that lets us know that we may need to look at our score and how she's scoring them and pay a little closer attention to who's scoring that player while she's on the field. So again, HitTrax gives us a non-bias baseline where we can go in and kind of execute some of the stuff that we're trying to do. All right, so moving on from this, we have a couple different ways that we use HitTrax. Elena alluded to kind of the stuff we do with slappers. I absolutely love coaching slappers on the HitTrax because of the fact the defense on the HitTrax is extremely hard. So I'll talk about in a little bit how we use that particular piece of the HitTrax to kind of train our slappers. But when it comes to our hitting philosophy, what we're working on right now in the hitting competition is what I call our A game, our A approach to hitting. So that's putting your best swing on a good pitch. All right, we're looking to drive the ball deep. We're looking to get the max exit velocity, stay in between a couple different degrees of launch angle that we've identified as our success rate. Your A game approach is always going to work when you're seeing the ball well. So what happens when you're not seeing the ball well? How can we utilize a system like HitTrax to be able to help train our athletes when they're not necessarily doing very well off this hitting competition or having success that they want to at the plate? So we can use HitTrax a ton when it comes to situational hitting as well. So I call that using our B game approach. And our reason I call it using our B game approach is because our A game works in any situation. No matter the situation that comes up on the field, a home run to center field works, I promise you, all right? But when we're not in that confident mode, when we're not seeing the ball well, how do we still be able to train using all this analytic system, using what we have to still, oh, we got the screen working. Great, yeah. Hold the mic higher. Okay, so people in the back, you can kind of see what I'm talking about when it comes to the failed and success on that last hitting competition. And Coach, if you want to take a break real quick, we'll flip into the situational stuff. Thank you for doing that. So again, at the end, if you want to look at the screen a little bit, it gives you her overall that we just lost. It gives you her overall velocity, it gives you her average exit velocity, and it gives you her max. And again, that's where we want to stay when we're working. And this is where HitTrax allows us to really get in there and stay routine with it. So at the end of this, it'll be able to generate me a report of that session. I can save it to my desktop and I can say, hey, Coach's BP round or Coach's drill round, she was 16 for 20. Which is a really good score off this particular competition. And we can kind of file that and see where she is next month or next part of the season when it comes to this same competition. So if I go back here, yes. So that was the skill challenge for those of you who couldn't see the screen on that side. So the skill challenge, I went in there and created a hard hit competition. This is how easy it is to kind of create your own hitting competitions or your own measurables. You go in there, you add one, say, hey, I just want a line drive. I want to go in there and have a line drive competition. When you choose that line drive competition, it's going to give you a degree of exit velocity, or excuse me, a degree of launch angle to where you want to stay to produce that line drive. So anything above that, it's going to consider a pop-up and it's going to give you that fail success. Anything below that, it's going to consider it a ground ball. It'll give you that fail success. If you're going to work on, hey, we really want to try to get the ball on the ground with 2 outs, or we want to try to get the ball on the ground with a runner at third with less than 2 outs, it has a ground ball competition where you can get in there and do the same type deal. So what I chose to do that competition we just set up was the hard hit. So if I add the hard hit, it gives me these options right here to say, hey, do I want pull, do I want middle, do I want opposite, or do I want any direction? And it gives me the option, do I want pitch, tee, or both? So when I choose pitch or tee, it's going to let me do it off a stationary tee position, or it's going to give me the option to do it off front toss, machine, live arm, stuff like that. So when I save this, it's automatically saved as 80% of your max exit velocity, which I think is personally I think is a good representation of hard contact. We have been working with HitTrax to be able to adjust that a little bit when it comes to certain different type of players. But what I want to show you now is kind of how we use the situational hitting piece. So at Texas Tech, we really hammer the importance of 5 different situations, and we expect our players to master these 5 different situations by the time they leave our program, knowing that a freshman, it's going to take them a little bit more time than a junior that's been in our program for 3 years to understand. So our 5 main situations that we work on in practice in a daily setting is a runner at first base with 1 out, a runner at second base with nobody out, a runner at first and second with 1 out, a runner at first and third with 1 out, and a runner at second and third with 2 outs. Those are the 5 situations that we've identified from an offensive standpoint that are going to produce us the most success in executing situational hitting. So with that being said, HitTrax has most of these built into it already. So if I choose my situations drill and I run it, and I'm just going to pick my name, Morgan, I promise you my exit velo is not very good, so you don't have to worry about that. I'm going to play ball here. So basically what this situation is set up, this is that runner at first base, 1 out situation. Morgan's going to have 1 attempt at this. She's going to have 1 at bat, 1 opportunity to hit this, and it's going to be an at bat, not a swing. So she's going to have 1 at bat, and it's going to read this situation and give her that same success failure rate, this time in more of a point scale. So in this situation, doubling a gap awards her 5 points on that particular situation. So 5 points in that situation is the maximum number of points because she was able to drive that or get that run all the way to third base. If she only advanced that runner to second base, it would give her a less amount of points. So basically what we do in these situations, we have all of our hitters daily do their 5 swings. And again, this is just 5 swings that we get to monitor and quantify every single day in practice. So it takes 5 minutes for a person to get there, get warmed up, and say, hey, go get your situations in. They get your situations in and go. Now, from a coaching standpoint, that is invaluable when it comes to understanding who on your team actually can execute in certain situations. So with the runner at third base, less than 2 outs, we're looking to get that run in 90% of the time. So who on our team, when we break through those situations at the end of the day, can we go back and quantify, yes, they are getting the job done, and who isn't? So that's one way we can kind of identify this. And again, this is a 5-minute drill that we put our players through every single day, run them in, get their situations, get their score, get out of there, get to practice. They can do it between warm-ups, when they're getting ready for practice, they can do it at the end of the day. They just know it's an expectation for them to get their situations in so that we can quantify what's going on when they're done. So after Morgan gets her 5 swings, it'll populate, it'll say finished, we're ready to go. She'll save it, she'll exit it out, it'll shoot straight to my email. I can save it in my report, give it to my analytic guy, break it down and go from there. Again, these are just some of the game aspects that we have in HitTrax that we can utilize to keep hitting a little more of a competition when it comes to cage stuff and not just get in there and get your reps in. So we talked about and we alluded to, and Elena mentioned it, the slappers. So again, I very much enjoy coaching slappers. So I also have a slapper objective, which is very similar to the situations drill that Morgan just did. However, it's going to be, instead of one pitch per situation or one at bat per situation, it's going to be 5. And the reason why I do that with the slappers is because I'm really focused on how well they can replicate and constantly be aware of their foot speed and their barrel control through their at bat. I want my slappers to be able to replicate a situation over and over and over again and get the same result if that's what they're trying to do. So if I choose the slapper daily objective, if I can go down, do I know? Okay. Here we go. If I choose the slapper daily objective, I'll put my name back in there and continue. All right, it's going to do the same type situation where it's a runner at first, 1 out, and she's going to have 5 attempts to go through this situation. So my goal for slappers when it comes to utilizing HitTrax is I want them to get 25 hits per day. So if we can go through every single practice knowing that my slappers can get 25 hits per day, that's where we want to be in as far as consistency moving into spring. Now, I alluded a little bit to the defense. If you've ever used HitTrax before, you understand there's a team full of All-Americans on the HitTrax defensive side. All right, every single one of the shortstops is Taylor Pleasance on steroids. All right, they can absolutely go field anything. They can catch anything over their head. The third baseman can get in there better than anybody that you see on today's game. So with that being said, getting 25 hits off this HitTrax is extremely difficult, which makes it more of a competitive fact when it comes into, hey, I got to get my 25 hits in. So after Morgan takes her swings off of each one of these situations, it's going to give her a total. Say, hey, yes, you were 14 out of 25 today. So at the end of that day, when you're 14 out of 25, all you do is you open up HitTrax to its normal swing, and now you have to compete off that All-American defense and try to get your extra 11 hits. So that's kind of where we've been torturing our slappers a little bit, making them compete off of the best defense that they're going to face with this HitTrax people. Now, of these slapper situations, I kind of walk down the situations that we do for, yeah, you're good. I kind of walk through the situations that we do for all of our hitters when it comes to that runner at first, 1 out, runner at second base, nobody out, so on and so forth. One of the biggest situations that we have to work and utilize with our slappers is that nobody on base situation. So that nobody on base, getting an inning started, whether it's 1 out, no out, or 2 out, is really pivotal when it comes to a slapper skill set. So when we go to just that base HitTrax outline, it's going to be really, really important for our slappers to understand they have to get the ball rolling, they have to get the inning started, they have to create something to try to get on base with that defense. So again, at the end of the day, if we go in and they're 14 out of 25 on their slapper daily objective, they know by the end of the day they owe me 11 more hits on the HitTrax, and that's really just an accountability thing that we use for them. The slappers are accountable to each other. Say, hey, did you get your hits in the day? Yeah, I got my hits in. How about you? That type deal. So again, HitTrax is a great way that we utilize that with the defense. We have been working on a little bit with Elena to try to get a slapper mode set onto the HitTrax. That'll hopefully be in one of the upcoming updates they have to the system. With that in particular, what we're trying to do is open up the middle of the field a little bit, because again, slapper mentality, we know that the middle of the field pretty much always wins. So having that hole opened up for us can give us a little more feedback, saying, hey, yes, I know what I'm trying to do in this situation. I'm trying to go up the middle of the field. I'm trying to go in that little slapper loop over the third base, or I'm trying to hit that ball hard in the 3-4 hole somewhere that is going to give me the most opportunity for success in game. So again, this is just kind of how it's a couple of the stuff that we do when it comes to how we make our cages a little more fun, a little more competitive. But the biggest thing I can leave you guys with throughout this whole situation is just that understand your athletes, understand what motivates them, really get to where they enjoy coming into the cage and working outside of their time, because that's the absolute advantage of having all this technology stuff. Is you want hitters to get to the cage and start hitting on their own. That's going to be the biggest advantage to having all this equipment, and just understanding that all the other analytic stuff that comes with it is a bonus for us if we know how to put it together and collaborate with it. A couple things I do want to mention that HitTrax has kind of come up with in the last little bit that we're starting to utilize a lot is their video piece. I would highly recommend going down to their booth. They got their HitTrax system all set up. That's fully operational right now. You can kind of see the new updates they have to the video piece, being able to link your cell phone straight to the video that tags all that puts all the data with the video clipped in real time with the feedback. It also has a strike zone, which I think is one of the most pivotal pieces that HitTrax can offer with us, especially if you do a lot of live throwing in your cage off the HitTrax unit.